Welcome to the City. I'm Public Information Officer Anthony Wilson, and today we have a very special episode. We're devoting the whole time to our new Mayor, Dwain Morrison. Mr. Mayor, thanks for being with us.
Good morning. Welcome to be here. Glad to be here, sir.
Are you accustomed yet to being called Mr. Mayor?
No, sir. No, sir. I've still not got used to it, but I'm getting used to it.
Very good. Well, you served on the council, obviously, for 10 years, representing Single-Member District 2 on the north side of San Angelo. And you probably could have served a lot longer. You're very popular among your constituents there. Why did you decide that you wanted to run for mayor?
I've served District 2 for the last 10 years, and I have served them faithfully. It's always more or less been on my bucket list, though, to be mayor, and for the last several years I've thought about this. And my term was up. It was either shake the dust off my feet, or it's become mayor and see if I could change things the way I wanted them to be. And I decided to run for mayor.
Well, you said you would like to change things the way that you want them to be. Expound a little bit. What are some things that you would like to accomplish as mayor that have been on that bucket list?
Well, let me go back first to 1983. That's when I first became interested in politics. And in 1983 is when we passed the sign ordinance. I hated that sign ordinance then, and I hate it now. This sign ordinance was passed by the council, but yet 90% of the town was against it. And I remember thinking back then, the city council is in business to fulfill the wishes of the public. And the public was against it, but yet the council passed it. And it really bothered me. So I ran for city council in 1983, and I got beat. So I took 20 years off, and then in 2003, I ran again. And there was really no particular reason then, and really there was no particular reason that I ran for mayor. It was more or less a culmination of the things that had happened. My daddy was a very principled man, as was my granddaddy, and they taught us that if you didn't like the way things were running, you could either A, change it, or B, you could dust your feet and leave. So I ran for mayor. I wanted to change things, and I was elected, and I hope to do that.
So there's no particular issue that really sparked your desire, your fervor to be mayor?
No, sir. No, sir. I would say no. It was more or less a culmination of the way things were, and if you don't like something, you either change it or you leave. That's what I was raised with.
You've served under a few different mayors, and all of them have their own particular style and personality and approach to the job. How do you view the mayor's role?
I view the mayor's role as a public relations role. The charter gives the mayor the right to be the seventh vote. It also gives the mayor the right and the authority to run the meeting. The mayor is no more important than anyone else on the council. The mayor has no authority other than the others on the council. The mayor is the PR world, and that is exactly what I hope to do. Just after my election and the week before I was sworn in, I made 14 different appearances. And every day I'm getting requests to go to different things. I'm reading proclamations, I'm making ribbon cuttings, and this is exactly what I want to do as mayor. I want to be seen in this town. I want to be the face of the mayor. I want to be the one that tells people just how great San Angelo is. I want to be seen in the schools, and I hope when school gets back in session to get with Carol Ann, because I would like to meet with every school child on every school campus and tell people, start them young, letting them know how important government is and that we are the voice for them. So I plan on being the PR man for San Angelo. I want to open banquets and open conventions and tell people just what a wonderful place San Angelo is. Let's put some heads in beds and some bottoms and some cafe seats. That is my plan as mayor.
Of course, the public sort of views the mayor as the leader of the council and maybe has a more important role. Are you having to sort of educate them a little bit about what the mayor is and is not?
I plan on having a very strong council. These council members represent their district. They know what their people want. They know what their people need. And they need to be responsible to their people. We've got 6 very strong, very good council members, and I want the council members to be very strong. I plan on being the overseer. I plan on being the facilitator, but I honestly plan on giving my council free rein in the things that we do. I want them to stand up and be very strong in this.
Following your swearing in, you gave an address to address city staff, your fellow council members, and the public. I'd like you to talk a little bit about some of the high points that you hit on there and why you felt it was important to talk about those things at that moment.
Well, I did preach for about 10 minutes. And I did speak to the council because I think the most important thing that council has is to be courteous, to be respectful, and they must get along. Now, I realize that all council is not going to love each other at all times, and there's going to be some very exciting meetings in the future. Many of the issues that we deal with, they bring great passion out, and there's going to be some hurt feelings, and there's going to be some good battles. But our city council works on the measure of 4. 4 votes win, 4 votes lose. And I expect them to stand up and to express themselves. But if they lose, they need to accept their loss with dignity. And if they win, they equally need to win with dignity. So I stress the importance of courtesy and respect amongst the council members. One thing that I will do as a mayor, and I'm adamant about this, is that we're only going to speak one at a time. I will direct the council as they speak. I don't want any of this over-talking. I don't want any interruptions. I want each council member to have their time at the floor, and I want them to be able to say anything and everything they want to say. So I will do that. As far as I also address the media, we have a very good, the media and the council have always got along well. They've been very good to me. But I want to continue that, and I ask for their support, and I ask for the respect that they would take care of us, and we will take care of them. I address the staff because I want staff to give us all of the information that we need to make our decision. There is nothing worse than to make a decision as a council member and then find out later that the information you got was incomplete or was not exactly what you needed. And council looks like, when council is made to look silly, it has repercussions. So I asked the staff to put everything we want on the agenda as we ask for it, and I asked them to give us complete information, because when we make a decision, we want to make a decision with the very best information so that the decision is the wise decision. I also spoke to the public, as this has been a very divisive election. 3 strong men ran for this, and there's been some hard feelings, and I don't want that. I want our town to unite. I want them to unite behind me. I want them to unite behind our council. I want them to support us. I want them to share with us. There's a lot of problems coming, and there's no one person knows how to handle them. But as a community of 100,000 people, if we will work together, we will be able to solve these problems.
Talking about uniting, how do you go about doing that when you have had a very strong election, and I think all the candidates conducted themselves very well, but passions were split among the voters. How do you bring those people back together?
That's the beauty of living in the United States, is that we can have elections, and that the one that is elected will rule, and that's the way we run things. But after the election is over, we need to realize that the people have made their decision, and we need to unify behind the one that was chosen. Now, the one that was chosen has responsibility as well. And I have a responsibility to be honest and to be open and to be transparent and to do the things that I have said that I would do. And I'm very cognizant of that, and I will. But we need to come together because we have the interest of this city at heart. That is our role. That is our responsibility. And I think that's what everyone in this city wants, is to make this a place where we can live and work and raise our children in safety.
For the last 10 years, you have been a very strong advocate for single-member District 2. Does your approach now have to change since you're representing the entire community as opposed to just a portion of it?
I think it's going to be a lot easier. And I was a very zealous representative for District 2. District 2 is the 76903 area code. It is as far as income, it is on the bottom in San Angelo. We have a lot of poor people in District 2. We have a lot of working people in District 2. We have a lot of people in District 2 that either cannot or will not speak for themselves. And I felt that as the representative for those people, that I had a responsibility to stand up for them and to be sure that they got their slice of the pie. Possibly I was overzealous. I have heard that. But they don't need me anymore. District 2 now has Marty Self, and Marty is very capable, and he will take care of the district. I ran as the mayor for the entire city of San Angelo, and I want to represent the entire city of San Angelo. And I feel, coming from the north end, possibly I have an insight that maybe the others didn't, because I care for the people in all of this city. I care for them in Blackshear and in the Barrio, and wherever the Bentwood or Country Club or Angelo Heights or Pauline, wherever people live in this town, they deserve representation, and they deserve to be treated fairly and with respect. And that is the approach I plan to bring. I want to represent the entire city, and I think that's going to be an easier job than just representing District 2.
So in the past, would you vote for what you thought was best for District 2, and now you have to sort of take a little bit broader view and vote always for what's best for the community as a whole?
I represented my people. I represented my district, and I felt that, I guess I could say that what I felt was best for District 2 was probably best for the rest of the city. So yes, to vote for District 2 was to vote for the city. Right now, though, I'm going to let Marty take care of District 2. That's his job. He's up for it. And I will represent the people. I will be the 7th vote, and I will represent the entire city of San Angelo.
What has the reaction been now that you've been out in the public with people? What sort of response are you getting?
I'm overwhelmed by it. I am literally overwhelmed by the response that I have gotten. People have been so very kind to me. It has been the most humbling thing that I have ever been through. People have been very good to me. They've been very supportive of me. I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful, but I am also humbled by the response I have got from the public.
You know, I remember reading in the newspaper the morning after the election, and it seemed like you were very emotional to find out that you had won. It seemed like it was maybe a surprise to you to some extent.
I was the underdog in this election. I was the underdog from the get-go, and I knew this. But I worked hard, and my wife worked hard, and it's probably the most loosely organized campaign that has ever been successful. But I had many people from all over this town, in many different areas of this town, that were working hard for me and making calls and walking and spreading my pamphlets. My wife and I put 600 signs up in this city, and every sign we put up was asked for. So I knew from the start that I had a good chance, and I didn't get in it to lose. But it was somewhat overwhelming, and I think just to see those numbers come in, to see that the people actually got out and voted for me, it's a very humbling experience.
We're talking with Mayor Dwain Morrison, and we'll continue this conversation in a moment. But first, we're going to spotlight another outstanding city employee.
My name's Sam Poindexter. I work for the City of San Angelo. I'm a crew chief for water distribution, and I've been here for 25 years. Well, crew chief for water distribution can be a different amount of things. We have crew chiefs that fix water leaks. We have ones that fix sewer leaks. We have one do sewer taps, water taps. It's just what the individual job is. And I usually have a crew from 2 to 3, 3 to 5, depends on how much work, depends on what your job title is. Well, what I do is I maintain all the barricades, the safety devices for the city of San Angelo. If we get a water leak out in the middle of the street, and I usually try to go over there and block off the street so close enough so our guys so our men don't get hurt. And plus put out signs and try to make the public don't be aware of us, don't run over us, but it's all over town. It's that plus sewer taps, anything that has to do with the city. I haven't always been a crew chief. I was driving a haul truck, and I was driving a dump truck, driving equipment, and sometimes I would have to go out of town for the city. Now, I've been to Dallas, I've been to Houston, I've been to Texarkana for the city, picking up pieces of equipment. And it was just kind of exciting. Beats every day, something different every day. We have a standby crew that goes on from 7 o'clock Monday morning, and they get off 7 o'clock next Monday morning. Then we have another crew. There's always somebody here you can get a hold of 24/7. Out my garages, I got nick pick. I just got woodworking, so I got plumbing, some pipe I put together, make little tinker toys and stuff like that to make wind chimes, and just odds and ends, birdhouses, something, keep me busy. Get to go camping, I usually got a son lives in San Antonio. I'll go down there and see him. Just doing anything you want to. When if you want to get up and go. But you always got to come back, go to work, so. Seeing the same people day after day and see how far they progress in their jobs and see how far, when we first started, we all started together and see how far, it's kind of like, wow, yeah, he was in the ditch with me back when I started, now he's inspector or city hall or whatever, just different. It's no matter what, it's just like, now we got this Hickory water pit, Hickory water line coming in, And we also still got water leaks to fix. We still got water taps to work on. It's never the same thing. It's always something different every day.
We are continuing our conversation with our new mayor, Dwain Morrison. Mayor, you now are leading a council that has 4 new members, and of course you are in a new role yourself. What sort of challenges does that present to the council and maybe to the mayor?
I guess I could, if I were to describe it, I would say it was kind of like herding cats. It's going to be very interesting. Of course, to even run for city council and to put yourself up for that type of scrutiny, it takes a very special individual. It takes some ego, but it also takes an individual that's very thick-skinned, because on a lot of decisions we make, half the people in town are going to be mad at you. And we have to deal with the Wednesday morning quarterbacks in our case. And you know, a lot of people think they can do things a lot better than we do. It takes a special individual to be a council member. We have some very strong council members, but they also are very opinionated. And were they not of that type of a attitude, or that, they wouldn't have ran for it in the first place, because it's not an easy job, and it's certainly not a job that pays. In many cases, it's a thankless job. So it's going to be very interesting. But I'm very proud of my council. I think we have some very strong voices, but I think they are very interested in our city, and it's going to be a very interesting couple of years.
What is the typically, obviously you've been around for 10 years on the city council, what would you say is the learning curve for new council members? How long does it take to get people up to speed? And again, with 4 people trying to get up to speed, does that make things even more difficult in addressing issues?
You know, really, we only have one member that is completely new to politics, and that, of course, is Rodney Fleming. Rodney is a very intelligent man, and he's very well informed. He did his homework before he ever began to campaign, and I've heard him on the campaign trail. He knows what he's talking about, and he's to be listened to. As far as Marty's been on the council before as Mr. Wardlaw. Don Vardaman served for years and years on the school board. So they all have knowledge. They have prior knowledge of the way things work in a governing body, as a policy making body. So they've already got started. They're already above the curve. And Rodney won't take him long. It won't take Rodney long to get there as well.
I'm curious, do you have other council members, the new council members, approaching you asking for some of your institutional knowledge since you've been around for a while?
We visit, and that's one thing that I want to do as a mayor. I want to talk to my council members at least bi-weekly, hopefully every week, and some of them I talk to more often. I want to visit with my council members. I want to know what they're thinking. I want to know where they're coming from. And we need to talk about these things, and we need to know the procedures. So yes, I will be speaking to my council members, and I want them to speak to each other. I don't want to speak to each other in groups of 4, but as far as one-on-one, I encourage them to speak with each other, to know each other, to be friends with each other.
In your mind, what are the 3 most pressing issues facing the council at the moment?
I guess the thing that bothers me most is Klein Shale. The oil business is coming. It's here. You can see it in the traffic that we deal with every day. And I suppose the reason that I have some feelings about it, and I know there's going to be great opportunities for our city, but with opportunities also comes challenge. I worry about our water system, because the oil business uses a lot of water that we don't have. So I worry about the water. I worry about our infrastructure. I worry about our roads. Thankfully, back in 2000, our city councils began to work on our water supply, and then in 2003 and 2006, our councils also made steps to take care of our aging sewer systems, our aging water systems, and replace valves that had been there many, many years. So we have already made the start on our water system, both waste and supply, but our roads are bad. We need to have some plans to work on our roads, and there's several things that we're working on. I worry about our water. Of course, we all worry about that. But as San Angelo is on the edge of a desert, I think we've worried about water for the last 50 years of our existence. But we're working on that as well. We need to conserve. Possibly we need to do some things as a city to encourage people to go to xeriscaping. Maybe we need to start capturing rainwater. And this will get me in trouble, but maybe it's time to get rid of this St. Augustine grass and go to grass that is more drought resistant, that's designed for this area.
So do you envision doing that through incentives, incentivizing behavior that results in conservation?
That is one way that we could handle it. And that is something that we will be discussing. If we could incentivize people to put in rain capture systems, if we could incentivize people to go to a more xeriscape instead of the St. Augustine grass that takes so much water, I think that would be something we could discuss that possibly would work.
When you talk about the Klein Shell and you talk about the challenges, what are the challenges as you see those resulting from the oil field activity?
I'm seeing the traffic. The traffic in the last 6 months has changed dramatically. There's just so many more vehicles on the road. There's so many more trucks on the road. I see our roads that were already deteriorating at a faster rate now. I see crime that comes from this. I see the housing problems that this is bringing about. There are a lot of opportunities in the oil business. I'm glad we're getting it, but it's with the opportunities come challenges that we must face. I see challenges with our police department in controlling this. I see problems with our fire department and our EMTs especially, because with the oil field and the type of work it is, there will be more injuries that are oil field related. With the more traffic, we're going to have more accidents. So I see problems there. I see opportunities. I see challenges.
What are the opportunities as you see them?
Well, the opportunities that it brings labor to our city. Wages will increase. People will be able to make. It's always been a problem in San Angelo that our kids would graduate from the greatest university in the entire world, and then they'd have to go to some big city to make a living. With the oil field coming here, with wages going up, hopefully we will be able to keep our children in San Angelo instead of losing them to the urban centers.
One of the biggest decisions that you've had to face as a city council member was the hiring of a new city manager, and you did that last year with Daniel Valenzuela. Talk a little bit about why you think Mr. Valenzuela was the right choice and what sort of job he's done today.
We picked Daniel Valenzuela out of a pool of approximately 4,500 applicants. People from all over the nation applied for this job. It was sought after. We had a lot of very good applicants. We hired a firm because we simply were not able in-house to cull through all of these applicants. So we hired a firm that did it. They brought us, I don't remember how many, 30, 40 applicants, and then we thinned that down, and we finally met with 6 applicants. Excuse me. We finally met with 6 applicants, and we interviewed them extensively. Daniel came to the very top early in the interview process. I had 2 of them in mind when we went to make our final decision, and I suppose if I were to be completely honest, I would have given one of them a 99 and the other 100. They were that close. But as we began to discuss the individuals, Daniel clearly rose to the top. I'm very proud of Daniel. He comes from humble beginnings. He worked hard as a child. When he lost his mother, he raised his siblings. Daniel's a very strong, moral individual. He's very well educated, and I think he's going to make us a very good city manager. And as mayor, I want to give Daniel the reign and the authority to do what he needs to do to run our city. And I think that Daniel, and it's time for him to have his feet on the ground. He's been here some now 8 months, I think. I think it's time for Daniel to take over, and I believe he will be a very good city manager.
When you talk about the role of a city manager, explain for people the difference between what the mayor does and what the city manager does.
My responsibility is to the 100,000 citizens of this city. My responsibility is to the people. My responsibility is to the taxpayer. And I represent the needs and the wants and the desires and the wishes of the population. Daniel's responsibility is to the bureaucracy of the city. Daniel's job is to run the city, the nuts and bolts, the logistics, the daily operations of the city. It is his responsibility to run his staff. It is his responsibility to take care of his staff. It is his responsibility to run the city. And as mayor, my responsibility is to the citizens. I've always said it's kind of a checks and balance. When Daniel takes care of the city and his employees and the business of the city and the duties of the city, and I take care of the wants of the people, then we can make the policy as council. We can give the direction to the administration, to Daniel, and then Daniel is in charge of following the orders that we have given him.
What is the most satisfying thing for you about having served on the city council?
I like to be with people. I've always enjoyed people. I enjoy these meetings, these marathon meetings that we've had for the last 10 years. I like to have the opportunity to hear the different things that people have to say. I like to listen to both sides, and sometimes that is difficult, but you must listen to both sides. There's two sides to every story. I think it's important that decisions are made that are wise. Every decision that we make affects someone. Every item on that agenda is important to someone. And it's important that we be respectful of these people and that we make the decisions that serve them best. But we also have a responsibility to our citizens. It's a balancing act. But I've enjoyed my time on council. I've enjoyed it. I've met some wonderful people that otherwise I would never have met. It's been a very enjoyable time, and I am very excited about being mayor.
What's the most challenging aspect of serving on the council?
I've got to control this council because this council is very strong-willed, and they are very strong opinionated, as I want them to be, because they've got to be strong-willed and opinionated if they are going to represent their districts. But I've got to corral them. I want to give them enough rein to be able to do what they need to do and say what they need to say, but still it has to be done in a controlled way. We also have to worry about our staff. We've got to take care of our staff. We have to encourage our staff. We have to give them strong, firm direction so that they know what to do. But after we've given them instructions, we need to get out of their way and let them work. So
I'm sure there's a common misperception that you run into a lot as a council member. I want you to go ahead and set the record straight. What's the most common misperception about serving on the council, and what's the truth behind it?
I guess the most common misperception is that I'm going to be over for Lakeview and for Lakeview only, and I am one-dimensional and single-focused on Lakeview and everything north of 29th Street. I've heard it over and over again, and I accept it, and I earned that right because I was very passionate in my representation of my people, and I'm proud of that, and I'm proud of my people. And in this last election, they got out and voted for me. People that had never registered, people that had never voted before, registered and voted for me. I carried 85% of my boxes. And that is a very humbling thing to me. But Lakeview doesn't need me anymore. They have Marty Sell. District 4 doesn't need me anymore. They had Don Vardaman. District 3 never did need him because they had Johnny Silvas. All three of these men are better than I. I now want to represent the city of San Angelo, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do the job to the very best of my ability. I'm going to make some mistakes. I've made a lot of them in my last 10 years, but I try to admit them, and I try and move on and do what is right. I will do that here, but I want to represent the entire city, and I'm just asking people to give me a chance. Give me a chance to earn their respect. I'm not one-dimensional. I love this entire city, and I know that it goes further than 29th Street.
We've been talking with Mayor Dwain Morrison, and we hope you'll join us for the next episode of The City.